You have to try this.
Okay, just a bite. Hey everyone, welcome to Social Takeout.
God, that was so loud. Small bites of social discussion. Small bites of social discussion.
I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Sarai.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about our exes. I was married once before, then divorced, and now I'm married again. After my divorce and before I met Marcus, I had a really awful time dating and just like a really terrible first marriage. So we're here to bitch about our exes and hopefully talk about some important issues around dating and relationships.
Yeah, so my dating experience, I've had good and bad, but I like to focus on the bad ones because when
It's more satisfying.
I know, it's so much more satisfying and it feels just like therapy when you just talk about them afterwards and how sometimes stupid you yourself were, like being in that situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's stupid is the right way or just blind is the other way too.
I definitely know that there were just like red flag after red flag, and I was like, no, it's fine, it's
Right?
fine. The house isn't on fire. You know,
I can change him.
Exactly. Oh my god.
He's gonna change for me.
Yeah.
All right. So, but I've had good and bad experiences. But according to Sarai, what you're saying is that all your relationships were apparently bad.
I've had horrible experiences dating.
But
Only horrible experiences dating.
is it just dating? I'm talking dating. They could be like a month-long relationship too. I don't know if you've had those, but
Yeah, no, none
Even
of
that
them were
was
good.
bad.
Even that was bad. And even when I thought it was going well, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
but what was bad though? Like for example, with your ex-husband.
It's like what wasn't bad. We would buy all of our food separately, which
So this is when you first met.
no, like we were living together for maybe 8 years before we got married, and during that whole time, plus after we got married, we would buy our food separately.
Literally, if I knew then, I would be like walking behind you saying, red flag, red
I
flag,
know,
red flag,
I know,
red flag, red flag.
I know. So like all of our food was purchased separately, and so like we split the rent and the bills completely in half, but
See,
I
for me,
mean,
for some
like,
reason, splitting the rent is okay, but
that's
in a nice way.
okay,
But food,
but,
like you buy a
like,
grocery
I
separately.
made only a tenth of like what he made as a musician, and like I was getting my master's degree,
Yeah.
so like I should have paid a tenth of the rent, you know, like if we were actually making it
It'll
equal.
show that he cares.
Yeah, absolutely. But so like when I would pay like my half of the bills and rent, sometimes I wouldn't have money for food, and so instead of just like feeding me, he wouldn't let me have any of his food.
What? So even
Yeah.
if you're like sort of asking or whatever, he just wouldn't let you?
Yeah, basically. And
What a
so yeah, and it's just like I just came up with the weirdest things to justify it, like, oh well, you know, he's working out so much and so he has to have like all of his food for like I know, it was just bullshit. It was just like nonsense.
He needs more food because he's working out, so I have to starve.
I know. It was just like the most ridiculous thing ever. And like, I think like we met really young, and like I didn't grow up with having a father, and I'd never seen my mother in a relationship, and just like there were no men in my life
So
growing
there was
up.
no role model. for you
Exactly.
to
And so
look up
I
to.
was like, this is normal,
Yeah.
you know? And then I didn't realize that it wasn't normal until like all of my other friends started getting in relationships. And I was like, you mean your husband buys you food? And they were like, girl, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
because but does it feel weird like now that he's saying it that what the fuck was I doing?
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely just like this fear of like
Yeah.
being alone, I think.
Yeah.
And like my mother, love her, like she did her best obviously, but she would always say these things to me just because like I was fat as a kid also, and I'm heavy now, and I just remember this one time we were out to dinner, and I was just like happily eating my food and just like enjoying being in a new city, like we were traveling. And she says, oh, do you see that woman over there? And there's sort of like a chubby woman, and she looked really nice, and it looked like she was on a date. And the guy was talking, and she was like, I just really want you to lose weight so you don't ever have to listen to a man talk like that. You know? Yeah, like, you're never
what
going
did she
to...
hear?
No, like, he was just talking at her. Like, he wasn't, like, making space in the conversation for her. And so, like, my mom was like, well, she has to put up with it because she's fat and she doesn't have any options.
God. Yeah.
You know? So she was like, I want you to have
what
options.
What if he likes that?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's just, like, so many problems wrong with that sentence. But, like, so I think the thing that I learned growing up was, like, being fat is so undesirable that you need to, like, take the first take the first opportunity that comes your way.
So in a way, something that I've also heard so many times, I think a lot of us have, don't settle. But we all sort of settle with thinking. I think that's all coming down from what we think of ourselves.
Absolutely. And I had, like, at the time, horrible self-esteem. Just really bad.
Yeah. In my case, like, one of my first relationships, going to a real dark side right now, like a quick turn into Halloween lane. It's and it was an abusive relationship. Again, it's also because I just came out. I did have, like, flings with boys, but it was not like a full-blown relationship. My full-blown relationship was in Canada when I moved there in 2009. And he was this massive club security guy. Okay. And I was tiny.
You're the type?
No, like, okay. You see my current boyfriend, he's not a massive security guard type.
I know. It's weird. Anyway.
But, no, because he actually picked me out on the line at the club that I was actually going into. It was a gay club. And so clearly there was a size difference there, but eventually in the middle of the relationship, I remember it started with him saying things that I cannot do what I wanted to do, because I just left music and I'm trying to figure out what I have to do. This is before I started doing event planning. I was a really young kid, like 20 years old. And he would say, like, why do you want to do that? And I worked at a call center. I hated the job. I was like, I want to get out of this. I want to do my own thing. I want to go back to college. He's like, it's not necessary. Like, because I think he felt bad about what he was in life. And he was like 11 years older than me.
Right. And so it's like, if you then start...
He's scared that I will just fly off in many ways, I think. It's also because I think they see potential. And they're like, okay, I need to keep him this way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even when I sang, he'd be like, it's not good enough. Like, he would literally say things like that. And then I clearly remember, we were both drunk. We're going home from a party, and he pushed me randomly, just randomly. And I thought it was a joke. Like, he was going to push and play sort of idea. So I pushed him back. But that made him angry. And then that turned into him hitting me. I was like, remember. And I was like, what the thing is, like, at that point, you're not even thinking, like, I have to defend myself. It's like you're trying to process what is happening right now. But then I remember just making it, like, an excuse for him because he was drunk. He was drunk, so obviously he did that.
Right.
But that happened...
He works out, so he needs all the food.
Exactly. But that happened, like, 3 times. And when I actually finally got out of it, he was, like, chasing me down.
Jeez.
Yeah, I had friends who had to stop him from hitting me. My friends constantly told me at that point, why are you with this guy?
Those are good friends.
Yeah, exactly. I don't talk to them anymore, but this is a different story. But it was a long time ago.
They were the friends you needed at that moment.
At that moment, exactly. But but I would just say listen to people around you at the same time too.
I would say like I was super defensive of him.
Me too. I was like, you don't know him.
Exactly.
He's different in front of you guys. He's just really shy. I was like, because he was very quiet and he wouldn't want to get involved with my friends at all. It's almost like he would show his real self. But at home, he's like this wild person.
And so like, because of things like that is very clearly abuse. I'm always hesitant to say that this marriage was like an abusive relationship.
It was.
Yeah, and it's like I know that now, but like then I couldn't see it, and I'm still like, was it really? Like, I should have known better. Because you know,
I think how I process it, maybe I'm doing it completely wrong. In your case, how it was abuse is because he's playing with your insecurity. So it's almost enhancing that. So I'm sure he knows you're insecure.
Absolutely.
Maybe you've told him at some point, I'm a bigger woman, so I just feel this way.
Yeah.
Or I'm a singer, so I'm not making enough money, because that's a big insecurity for us too.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we have this talent, we're not getting paid for
I
it.
still have those insecurities,
Exactly. So
especially during Corona.
Exactly, yeah. So if he's playing around with that and saying
Yeah.
like, well, you need to do this, he's using that power instead of helping you
Yeah.
and being there for you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that is abuse, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it just makes you feel worse.
I had this one really great friend, Maria, and she's just a wonderful person. I love her.
Yeah. I think you told me about her.
Yeah, but she was just like, you know, you can always come over to my house to eat, and that was just like all she said, because she was like, I'm not
that
gonna...
already sounds very like...
Well, she knew that I was not in a place to like hear
Yeah.
that this relationship was toxic, you know?
But was it like, come to my place to eat because you don't have food and he's not feeding you?
Yeah.
So, God, that itself sounds terrible.
No, I know, but it didn't to me. Like, I couldn't hear it.
Oh my God.
Know?
Yeah.
I couldn't see it. I didn't want to see it, which is kind of how I understand how like some white people don't see white privilege, because it's like you don't want to see it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you see it and you don't see it at the same time.
Yeah.
So like I left him, and my mom was really unsupportive. Like,
For leaving him?
Yeah.
Didn't your mom know what was happening?
Yeah, sure. She'd been there and seen it. You know, like she'd visit us often.
Yeah.
But she was just like, you know, after you go through like something like this, usually men make really great husbands. Like, you know, they change a little bit. They see they can't like do the same things, and like you can't actually afford to get divorced. So
afford meaning
like you don't have any money, so you need to stay with him. And I was just like, I would rather sleep in my car. Like once I got it, and I was just done. And I was totally done before I told him I was finished.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so like finally like things just deteriorated, and like I had been asking if we could go to counseling for a really long time, and so finally when I was like, look, I'm gonna like move out with my friend Maria, like she said that I can just stay with her.
And this is after your marriage, right? Because you were living together for 8 years.
Yeah, we were living together for 8 years, and then we got married.
Yeah.
And then we were married for like...
How do your friends react to your marriage?
They were like, okay, let's
okay,
go.
she really likes some punishment.
I know. So they were really supportive of me, and they made sure that I knew that they were supportive of me and anything I needed and wanted to do.
Yeah.
But
did things change after marriage though?
Absolutely. And like the process of planning a wedding is what like opened my eyes to how unhelpful he was.
No, in sense like him not feeding you, things like that, or you were buying your groceries.
None of that
didn't change.
No, it didn't.
So even because I'm thinking like maybe the idea that this person is married to me.
No.
To become one.
Yeah, that's what I was
that
thinking
would change,
too. Like
no.
that all of that would change. No, that didn't. And then like so I paid for everything, you know. I paid for the wedding, I paid for our reception.
What?
I paid for our honeymoon.
Wait, this is the person who's making more money than you.
Absolutely. But my family gave me money to pay for the wedding, with the understanding that he was going to give me half of it back.
Okay.
Right. So then we returned, and I had maybe like $1,000 left, you know, and I was just starting to look for work after my master's program.
Yeah. And
so then like, I definitely thought like all of those things are going to change. Like we're going to be like a real couple now, and all of this stuff. And then, what I realized that was not going to be the case when I went to like buy groceries, and I didn't have any money in my account, and I was like, what happened? And he was like, oh, I had to get my car fixed, so I used your card. And he just like used all of my money.
Oh God, people can see my face right now.
I know. Yeah, and I was like, what the actual fuck? And so like that, and then like for taxes, he filed as head of household. So in the US, like that means he got a really big tax break, but then my taxes, we did them separately, but I had to take into account his income since he filed as head of household. So then I owed a bunch of taxes, even though he wasn't like paying for rent, he wasn't like paying for food, like So once I really saw it, I was just like, oh, I gotta get out of this. So like we had a really terrible year of marriage.
Yeah.
And then after that I was like, look, I'm going to go stay with Maria. And then he was like, oh no, I'll go to counseling. So I was like,
oh, look, my meal ticket is going.
I know.
Yeah.
And like, I had been asking the whole time, like, we really need to go to counseling. Can we please go to counseling?
Yeah.
So finally, like, while I've moved out, we're going to counseling.
Yeah.
And it was a Christian marriage counselor because she was like the cheapest, like the only one we could afford.
That you got it? Oh, like both of you together?
Yeah.
Again, who paid for counseling?
Well, his insurance covered it.
Okay.
Oh, and that was the other thing. He wouldn't put me on his insurance.
Oh, God.
And another thing. It's just like one thing after the fucking
This
other.
is like the worst.
Yes, absolutely. So, like, we had maybe 4 or 5 joint sessions where, like, I would say something and then... Oh, okay. This is like super trivial.
Yeah.
I would get really annoyed that he would leave for work while I was still asleep and leave the front door unlocked. And then when I would come home from like work or classes, I would like call him and say, I'm going to be home in like 20 minutes. And then he would like, I'd get home and like, the deadbolt was on and like just the whole door was locked, like the chain across the door.
'Cause he's home.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
so you can't get into your
exactly,
own home.
So it was just really weird. And like we talked about that in therapy, and the therapist was like pointing a bunch of stuff out, and so
it's like a form of control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so finally she was like, I gotta talk to you guys separately, okay? Like, just like a couple of separate sessions. So I go and she's like, I'm a Christian therapist. I do not advocate divorce. I think that anything can be worked out. That said, you need to get a divorce. And I don't know why you married this man. Like, she was like,
like, what is wrong with you?
Absolutely.
And like, Christian therapist?
Yes. She was like, run, girl, run. Yeah, so...
Oh my God. So was that like eye-opening to you though?
Yeah.
So it's almost like the therapist gave up on this person.
Absolutely.
Because I'm also thinking, because just from his... So that was my morbid side coming out. Like from his sort of actions, this could have escalated to just physical violence even. Because he's being abusive mentally to you in many ways. He's trying to control every aspect of your life, your money, your access to your own home, not putting on insurance. So all the protections that you actually need, he's taking that away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he would have probably even stolen money from you if you made more money.
Absolutely.
Things like that. So
Absolutely. And then like...
Yeah, like this guy is bad news.
Yeah, and then there were some arguments.
Was he American? Or
Yeah, American. White guy.
Yeah.
His family did not like me.
Okay.
Not
Where
even
are
a
you
little
from?
bit.
Where in America?
He was from Berwick, Pennsylvania. That's up in the mountains. It's a coal mining town.
Yeah.
Absolutely middle of nowhere. I don't actually know if it's a coal mining town. That might be bullshit.
You never been there?
I went twice. No, I went once.
Yeah.
I went once. So his mother died right when we started dating. I was not allowed to go to the funeral because I'm black, and she did not like black people.
Oh my God, that should be a first.
I know. She was like, well, like we had been dating for like maybe...
You're like, bitch, you're dead. I'm going to be there.
I know.
It's like...
We had been dating for maybe 10 months when she died, and I was like, well, like me being there would be for you, like not... if you don't want me there, then fine, I guess.
And he was okay with that?
No, he was like, no, I do want you there, and I feel really bad, but, like, I don't want to put you in this situation.
Like, people would talk or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But so, like, her thing was like, well, if they end up getting married, their children won't be white.
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
like, ugh. And so his dad was such an asshole to me.
Yeah.
Like, we went to his dad's house for Christmas one year. He called when we were like on the road, said we'll be there in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
His dad goes, oh, is Sarai coming too? And he's like, yes, of course she's coming. Like, we lived together.
Yeah.
We lived together for 5 years. Like, yeah, she's coming.
Yeah.
And so then we get there and he's like, Well, we're actually going to my girlfriend's house, but I don't think they're going to have enough food for you, Sarai. So why don't you stay here and I will go and bring you food back. And so, like, to his credit, like, oh, I'm saying his name. To his credit, like, he didn't go. He was like, no, we'll just wait here for you to get back and, like, you know, so we could spend time with you. And so he goes, he comes back, and mind you, she lives like just around the corner.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, there was so much food here, and I brought you a plate.
Oh my God.
Yeah, one plate of food for. Yep.
That is.
Yeah. And so then I would say, well, I don't think your dad likes me. And he says, oh no, he says he likes you so much. Like, I'm like, yeah.
Oh my God.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't act like it.
That's terrible. I'm like, I'm trying to picture myself in the situation, how I would act.
But it's kind of like, is this really happening? You know?
Yeah, but maybe how old were you at this point?
I think I was like 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just...
I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
But you've also been black all your life, so you knew it, that this was happening.
Sort of, but like... And I'd been
but
called
not
the
that
N-word,
blatantly.
but yeah, exactly. I'd never been like in a relationship and then had someone treat me this way. Like I was just like, it was just like all new territory for me. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we could spend the whole episode talking about my ex-husband and marriage.
Okay, so my relationship after the abusive prick was...
Do you like when I labeled him as?
I know, we have a sheet in front of us here, guys. I'm like, we're talking about each person. We're not supposed to use their names. She called this person Big Italian Guy. And I'll explain why.
Pray tell.
He was just from Italy. This is in Toronto. I'm not going to tell his name. We started dating.
Giuseppe, maybe?
What?
What?
Shut up. But when I first started dating him, we were just dating. He was nice, but he was sleeping with like everyone, according to what I know.
This is the older guy?
He's old. All of them are older. I always date older men. And anyways, we got into bed one day, and this is when I started really realizing my sexuality, like what I like, what I don't like, all this kind of stuff. This guy was massive. He was packing.
What do you mean? Why don't you describe this in detail?
He has a big dick.
Okay. Not so much detail.
Like so big. And to me, I don't know, again, it's very perspective, I guess. But because I asked Sarai, like, have you ever had like have you?
He asked if I had ever had a man who was too big. No, but his penis is also not going in my ass.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But you were also like, what's a big dick?
No, that's not. It's not a thing.
Bring them fists over.
Oh, God, ew. Gross.
No, but he was just like so big. Like I just could not. Like I hated sex. He made me hate sex for the longest time, and he was so sexually active.
Yeah,
not just with
terrible.
me, but with like everyone.
So
the
then, did
neighborhood.
you like feel like sex was a punishment with him?
In a way, I felt like I had to have sex with him because that's the way I can keep the relationship. Even though I knew he was sleeping with everyone, because he would throw these parties. It's a whole bunch of gay boys who look exactly like me, and I was like, "This is weird." And it was a collection. But
this is weird. You like show up dressed the same. What's going on?
And he's the only one who looks a little different. I'm like, this is a little odd over here. And they all flirty with each other too. It's like they all knew, and I'm like this dumb person who just did not know that, but I knew it in the back of my head. But I just had to find a way to show it to him. So I magically found his password.
Isn't that funny how that happened?
No, because I have to tell you this. He's an idiot because I asked him for his Wi-Fi password one day. When he told me his Wi-Fi password is basically his name and one.
Okay.
And I was like, let me try this password on everything. I never seen it.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh my God, I got into his Facebook account. Oh my God, I got into his email account. I even got into his Adam for Adam account, which is like a dating account. Because he always had a Grindr and a Adam for Adam. Adam for Adam is like a dating app, like hookup app actually. It shows how many feet away people are from you,
Oh,
things like that.
interesting. Okay.
And I remember telling him, like, you're in a relationship with me, why are you in this? He's like, it's just curiosity, and I chat with some friends on there. Because,
Friends.
yeah, it's like a social media
You can't
app.
see my air quotes.
Well, I already knew it, that's the thing.
Yeah, sure.
Again, I was really young. I was 23 at this point, I think. And I just wanted a boyfriend because I was in college.
Yeah.
I went back to college, and
I understand this feeling.
and he lived close to my college, so sometimes I could just go crash there.
Yeah.
So there was a whole bunch of benefits along with it. But yeah, he made me not like sex. So the next person I met, I was like, how big are you?
No, I need much smaller.
I need to know this.
Yeah.
But you have no idea where I come from. But
That's funny.
yeah, but yeah, that was like one of my ex situations where it was very memorable. It was very short. It was only like about 7 months. But when I left him, I remember he went through this whole situation where he was contacting me constantly, saying like, I miss you, let's do this, let's do that. Because I think this is how evil I am. Around the 6-month mark, I knew this already. I found pictures, I found all the accounts, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the last month I was like, I need to really hurt this man before I leave.
How many months after you found that were you together?
1 month. So
Okay.
that last 1 month, I was the nicest boyfriend ever. I would go cook for him. We would go to the symphony.
Just so he
we
could
took a
know
trip
that.
together. All this kind of stuff. Allowed him to do anything to me sexually. Everything. This guy was so in love. And I remember still going on his accounts. He was like, oh, he hasn't logged in. And so and so. He has messaged these people. All the messages are not being replied to. All this. So he was really starting to fall in love, I think. And then one day, bam, I'm done. He was crushed.
Yeah.
I know this sounds a little
Good.
evil, right?
No, that sounds
But
appropriate.
it was actually on purpose.
God help my husband.
Yeah, but he's in a good relationship now. He actually messaged me recently saying, congratulations, you're back in music, all this kind of stuff. I was like, dick. That's the first thing that goes through my head. Literally, big
Yeah.
dick. But literally he's like, hello, and I'm in my head, I'm like, ouch.
No.
No, but yeah, that was like my second relationship. Yeah. So I guess a bad one too.
Yeah.
Over here it says you had an ex-fiance too. This is not the same guy?
No.
Oh, you were engaged afterwards as well?
Yeah. Well, sort of. Well.
What is sort of?
Okay.
You're either engaged or you're not engaged.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. So after I move out of our flat and I'm living with Maria, I promptly get on dating websites. Okay.
You're like,
Immediately.
swipe.
Met 2 guys. One
This
of
is
them.
but you're still married though, right?
Huh?
You weren't even divorced at this point.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we were separated, and I was like, good enough.
Go sleep with everyone.
And I was upfront.
Yeah.
I told my ex-husband, I was like, look, we're separated. I'm gonna start
And you have all the
dating.
right to. He's
yeah,
like, "Dick."
exactly.
Yeah.
And I told everyone that I was dating.
Yeah.
I'm separated.
divorce.
Yeah, I'm married. We're probably gonna get a divorce. So I met 2 guys. One guy ended up being friends with benefits, and then the other guy I ended up really falling in love with, and just who I say is my ex-fiance. And I say this because he never proposed. He didn't have a ring, but he did he started calling me his partner. And he he asked if I would move to Paris with him. And
Wait, is he French?
he's French.
Okay, and he was visiting. Where were you at this point in Pennsylvania?
He was a visiting fellow at Princeton.
Okay.
So an academic, a scholar, professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely my vibe.
Yeah.
So unattractive.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Let me find a picture for you. I will take 20 minutes finding this picture. I don't care. He was taller than me.
Yeah.
He was
Which is your
very
type?
smart.
Which is your type too?
He wasn't bad looking, but he had a lazy eye.
Let me be the judge of that. Show me the picture.
He had a lazy eye. And
Yeah.
and he's the one who emails me every
Oh yeah, the guy who actually likes to get
couple
back with you.
months,
Yeah.
hey, what's up? I'd love to see you. And I'm like, go fuck yourself.
So wait, so you guys met in Princeton.
Yes.
And then you dated for how long?
We dated, so like we met, let's say in February. We dated until July in person, and then I went to Utah for like I had a job like singing. So and then he came to visit me in Utah, and then he was like, I don't know if we should see each other. And then
Wait, what? So he just visited you in Utah and said, I don't think you should see you anymore?
Exactly. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Are you stupid? And so then like when I got back to, he was just, what did he say? He said that if we were going to like be a long-lasting couple, we would have had to go through some sort of hardship by this point, and we hadn't. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, the hardship is they are in a long-distance relationship.
Yeah, I know. I was like, could this be the hardship, that you're being a fucking idiot? And so then, like, when I got...
You're like, there, we have one now.
I was like, there we are. So then when I got back to New Jersey, I was like, you're an idiot. You're still my boyfriend.
How old is this guy, though, for even saying something that stupid?
He was like 36.
Okay.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And so then everything was fine, and then he was like, okay, I got a job in Paris and you should come live with me.
But were you like full-blown like a girlfriend-boyfriend situation, or were you just like sort of seeing each other?
Well, that was never like really discussed, but then all of a sudden he started calling me his partner. And like, I'm like, that means wife. So.
Or business partner.
No.
Bed partner.
Absolutely not. So just like to correct the timeline, we dated for a year in Princeton, and then I went to Utah for the summer program, and he came and was like, things are too perfect, we need to break up. I know. And so then I get back to...
Things are too perfect, we need to break up.
That's what I heard. And so then I get back to New Jersey, and I'm like, are we still broken up? And he's like, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
So then we're back together, and then he's like, you should come live with me in Paris. You shouldn't come live with me in Paris. You should definitely come live with me in Paris. Well, you should come live with me in Paris for as long as you want and then come home. And I was like, what? I don't understand. And so then he started calling me his partner, which to me means wife. And like, we had this conversation. I was like, you can't just call me, like we had this conversation like repeatedly. I was like, you can't just call me your girlfriend without like having that conversation with me. And he's like, but you are my girlfriend.
So like, he did mention that you're a girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you think it's also a French thing maybe?
I don't know.
They just like very like
I
immediately attached? I don't know.
To be honest, like just to show one of my prejudices, like he completely turned me off of French people. Like if you're a French person, you have to be exceptional for me to
How
even
about
be
French
like
Canadian?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. It could go either way. So we were long distance for like I think 10 months.
This is after he moved to Paris?
No, this is during when he moved to Paris.
Okay.
And so we were like long distance for a while, but we were talking every day and like FaceTiming and Skype sex and
whoa.
And it was fine. But it was with this understanding that I was going to come to Paris at some point to visit. And so I go visit. The visit was terrible. Okay, like.
So you visited him just to visit, or do you actually move at this point?
No, just to visit.
Okay.
Like, just to like see, is this relationship still something that I want?
Yeah, and if you like the place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I had never been to Paris before.
Yeah.
I'd been all over, but not there.
Yeah.
Because I don't speak a word of French.
I know.
So I go and visit. It's a terrible trip.
Yeah.
He's working the entire time. I had a list of like 7 things I wanted to do. We didn't do any of them.
Like touristy stuff.
Like, let's go see the Sacré-Cœur on this mountain, like the Sacred Heart Church. Okay, probably I said that wrong in French. Whatever. And
I think so too.
like, shut up, Jeremy. No one asked you. We're going to edit that out. So I asked to see the Sacred Heart Church, like on this hill, and it was really beautiful. I wanted to go see the Eiffel Tower, obviously. I wanted to go to the Louvre. We did go to the Louvre. We got into a big argument.
Why?
Just because, like,
At the Louvre.
Yeah, at the Louvre. Because everything's in French and I don't speak French. And so I wanted him to translate everything for me. And he did not want to do that.
Oh.
And he really hated, so I have celiac disease and I cannot eat bread.
Oh my God, and
I know, and he hated that. And so every morning for breakfast, he would take me to some bakery where I couldn't eat anything. And I was just angry the entire time. It was a horrible trip.
It's like, here's all the things you can't eat.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to eat something in front of you.
So, like, the last day on the trip, I was like, do you, like, still want to keep dating? Like, this trip was horrible. And he was like, no, like, I love you. And this was just, you know, a really bad time because grading and blah, 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 blah. And, like, I promise I will come and visit you next month. Mm-hmm. Fine. So he comes the next month, and we live together while he's visiting, and I don't know.
At your place?
No, he was basically visiting to do like a series of lectures or like some conference or something. So we lived in an apartment on the Princeton campus. Mm-hmm. So then the first night that I moved all my stuff there, I don't even remember what he said, but it just like enraged me, and I like grabbed my computer and I was like, I'm leaving. Like,
the first night.
Fuck you. Yeah. And so then he like runs after me. Like, it was just all so fucking dramatic, and like,
I feel like he loves drama.
Yes, he definitely does. Because
but who comes and tells you like after breakup everything is perfect?
I know. I was like, what? And so then like he talks me back into the place, and like he's there. Like at this point, he's already asked me to come live with him in Paris, and then like. And then, so I had a church job, so he came with me to my church job on a Sunday, and then, like, on the way to the church, he was like, I don't think you should move in with me in Paris. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, and then, like, the next week, it was like, definitely you should move in with me. And then it was like, well, you can come to Paris whenever you want and, like, stay with me however long you want. And I'm like...
But that's not a relationship.
I know. I was like, what is happening?
It's
and
so confusing.
So then finally it was like, yes, you're going to move to Paris, but, like, not immediately.
Again, this is that person behind you walking red flag,
I know, absolutely. And I was just like, literally so focused on like trying to get my singing together, trying to make sure I didn't like, so I was homeless for a little bit after I left Brian, like
when you were living with Erica,
like
no,
Maria, but
shit.
Yeah, like I stayed for a week in my car, and then she was like, oh my God, you can't do that anymore, please just come stay with us, you know. And so, like, I was working 6 jobs. I was, like, focused on my singing. I was really trying to just, like, make sure that I was financially secure. So it was just, like, he was doing all of this shit. And, like, in the moment, it was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is he acting like this? But then, like, there would be such long periods of just, like, chill and tranquility and just, like, going to conferences and like meeting all of these interesting people and like really finally being with someone who's like intellectually stimulating, because my ex-husband was like, he's an idiot. Sorry if you're listening. You are not very smart.
You're not, I'm sorry.
My ex-husband and I are sort of friendly now, but we're not friends.
After this podcast though. You aired it all out.
It is what it is. Anyway, so the French guy, I get rid of all of my shit, okay, in preparation to move to Paris. Like, so I gave myself a month in Paris, and then I was coming to Berlin for another month, and then I was going to spend the Christmas month and New Year's month with he and his family, and then we were going to...
So his family knows about you and everything.
Exactly, okay, like cool. I'd met his parents already.
Cool.
And so after that, like, 4-month period of time of, like, being with each other every day, like, we were going to figure out our relationship and see, like... Exactly.
It's like a struggle trying to make this relationship work.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I don't know. And then, like, before I got to Paris for that month, like, he started just acting super shady and, like, dodging my calls. And our conversations went from, like, 2 hours to 10 minutes. And so I was like, are you cheating on me? You know? And he was like, no, I'm not cheating on you, blah, da, 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 da. And I was like, no, I know you're cheating on me with this specific person. And he was like, no. Because he had mentioned her before. It was his TA.
Oh, God.
And And just the way he talked about her, I was like, he has a crush on her. And I was like, it's okay if we have, like, crushes on other people. We're long distance. But, like, we need to be honest about it and, like, just be really honest about our feelings. And he was just, no, I would never do that. And I didn't do that. And you're crazy.
Impossible.
Exactly. It's impossible. And you're crazy. And don't ever say that. Like, you know, just, like, and I was like, okay, but... You disappeared for like 3 days, and then now our conversations are 10 minutes instead of 2 hours.
Yeah,
so
because
like,
it's clear signs.
Absolutely.
And there's something called instinct, intuition.
So finally, like, I get a hold of him like a month before my trip, and I was like, do you even still want me to come? Like,
and this is where your tickets, everything are booked.
Yeah, I know, but like I could just get a hotel in Paris and like stay in Paris for a month, like you know, or an Airbnb or something, like, and then come to Berlin and, or I could just cancel everything, and get my money back. Like it was still possible. So then he was like, yes, of course, I still want you to come, and I'm really sorry. It's just like so much stress that I'm under, and like. So he was a scholar in the field of nuclear disarmament. So, like, obviously, like, really important, like, going constantly to Israel to, like, give talks. And so, like, I understand that his job was really stressful. And so it's like, of course, I'm going to give you, like, some leeway with that. But, like...
Yeah, but at the same time, don't just completely ignore the person.
Exactly. And I was like, you can't, like, take away all the things I like about our relationship.
And you're moving to a different continent for this person. So, I mean... So you have
sell all my stuff. I have 2 suitcases full of things, and that's like all of my possessions in the world. Okay, told my landlord, like, look, I can't, you know, I'm moving out, basically. They were totally cool with it. I gave my car to my friend to, like, just hold on to. So I arrive in Paris. He picks me up at the airport. We go back to his flat, which, like... While I had been visiting before, we went and looked at flats, and like he was like, okay, we're gonna go buy your piano tomorrow, like all of this stuff. And so like I was jet lagged, I couldn't really sleep. He's sleeping, I get up, I go to the computer, and I'm like, you know,
that inner voice.
I know that inner voice is check his email, you know, check his Skype, and so.
So what did Sarai find out on her ex's computer? We'll find out on the next episode of Social Takeout, Exes Part 2. And if you can't wait for a week to find out, you can also go on a Patreon page, Social Takeout, and, you know, check us out over there as well. Actually be our Patreon crew. We would love to have you there. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. On Instagram and Facebook, it's @Social Takeout. See you then. Okay, bye!